Well, this is something, a term I came up with, again, way back, problem, reaction, solution. It's a powerful way of changing society by manipulating public perception. 9/11, a classic. Ordo ab chao is a Latin motto for the 33rd degree of Freemasonry. It means order out of chaos. It's problem, reaction, solution. Very simple. You want to change society in a way that you know will not be acceptable to the majority, and you get a lot of resistance. So you don't do it openly. Stage one, you create a problem. It could be a fake terrorist attack, it could be a war, it could be a government crash, an economic crash. You then tell the public through an unquestioning media the version of that problem you want them to believe. It's a lie, but you want them to believe it. So you have the manufactured problem. You now want the public at this point to have the reaction of fear, of outrage, and say, what are they going to do about it? At that point, those who created the problem and glean that public reaction then openly offer solutions to the problems they have themselves created. And those solutions are changes in society which advance the agenda of global control. I have just described 9/11 to a bloody T. It was an inside job with major government agencies and military input, not just in America either, to create a massive problem to which solutions could be proposed. What have these solutions be? A war on terror, which has dramatically deleted basic freedoms all over the world, not least in this country, America, and elsewhere. And it has justified, not really, but it's been used to justify fantastic increases in surveillance and control, all based on a bloody lie. This is Zbigniew Brzezinski. He's a big, long-time mentor of Barack Obama. He's in the Democons, quite a major one. And when you read his books, he's telling you what's coming, because like George Orwell and Aldous Huxley, he bloody knows, because he has access to it. And he wrote this book, The Grand Chessboard, in 1997, in which he said, moreover, as America becomes an increasingly multicultural society, it may find it more difficult to fashion a consensus on foreign policy issues, except in the circumstance of a truly massive and widely perceived direct external threat. So they create one. Al-Qaeda, and Osama bin Laden, who was actually on the CIA payroll for years with the war against the Russians in Afghanistan. And so we have jet fuel, yeah, that's a good one. And we have these buildings which were of the same design as the Twin Towers and burned more fiercely and with far more heat and never even threatened to come down. And this is just one area. I mean, the 9/11, not one strand of the official story fits with another. If that's true, that can't be true. If that's true, that can't be true. And here's just a little clip, little video, emphasizing one part of this, and that's the Twin Towers and the official story that they came down because of plain fuel. Let's have a look at this.
What do falling buildings look like? What do demolitions look like? We are seeing typical implosions, characterized by gutting a building's base and then pulling it into itself. Computer-controlled sequencing fires the explosives in a rapid wave. Notice the jets of shooting concrete, the flashes, the pops, the caving of the buildings as they fall into their footprint, the tremendous billowing clouds of dust. Now let's look at the collapse of the Twin Towers. We are seeing explosions rather than implosions, a first in demolition history. A sequenced rumble becomes a roar as debris is thrown outward. The damage is not contained. Even the windows are blown from neighborhood buildings. What kind of energy enabled this? Would fire hurl metal and concrete sideways into the air? Here, a 600,000-pound chunk of steel, twice the weight of a Boeing airliner, was flung 400 feet, wedging itself deep into 3 World Financial Center on Vesey Street. A female photographer taking pictures of Ground Zero wondered why so many steel beams were jutting from neighborhood buildings. What shot pieces of the towers all the way across the street? In April 2006, New Yorkers were distressed to learn that bone fragments, human remains from 9/11, had been found on the roof of the nearby Deutsche Bank building.
How in God's name did those fragments get there?
It surprised me that there was still bone fragments or human remains that had not been discovered.
How is it possible that after 5 years they're finally looking on the rooftops of the Deutsche building? I mean, that's crazy.
And bone fragments less than a centimeter long. How could they be so small? So much to be explained. Why did the South Tower fall first when it was the second tower to be hit? Watch the top of Tower 2 leaning outward, about to topple. Then suddenly, it disintegrates in midair. What causes this giant slab of steel and concrete to turn into dust before our eyes? Watch both buildings collapsing straight down, directly into the path of most resistance, which is all the floors and all the mass of the building itself.
And yet, despite that, the towers fell. The towers fell in free fall speed. In other words, all the resistance was being removed before that coming down above it hit it. There's some kind of massive energy direction weapon involved in that, I'm sure, because there's so much technology outside the public arena that we don't know about. And thus, again, sense of possibility. If we don't know about it, we're not going to think, well, it could have been used, to do that. So you have to always have this understanding that whatever is the cutting edge of technology in the public arena is nothing like the cutting edge in the secret projects that they use. But they knew it was coming. Lots of people knew it was coming. This is Aaron Russo. He's an award-winning film producer. And he was a friend for a while of Nick Rockefeller until Nick Rockefeller invited him to join the Council on Foreign Relations, one of these elite insider groups. And when he was asking him to join, which he refused to do, this is 11 months before 9/11, and Aaron Russo eventually went public on this. Russo said that Rockefeller told him 11 months before 9/11 there would be an event that would lead to the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, to take over the oil fields and establish a base in the Middle East. Russo would see soldiers looking in caves in Afghanistan and Pakistan for Osama bin Laden. There would be an endless war on terror where there's no real enemy. The whole thing would be a giant hoax. People have to be ruled, he said, and the population reduced by at least half. Plans for mass microchipping of the serfs, as he called them, was also part of the agenda, he said. Whoa, God, dear me. But people believe it. People believe it. Repetition is one of the greatest forms of mind control and perception control. Keep telling them the same thing over and over again, it becomes the accepted truth. But if you can control the governments, you control the agencies that do it, you control the reporting of it, you control the investigation of it, you control the countries involved in it, you can put these things on and cover them up, no problem. And then what you do, problem, reaction, solution, is you then change the nature of society to solve the problem that didn't actually bloody exist till you created it. This is Hitler announcing the creation of the Gestapo in Germany. An evil exists that threatens every man, woman and child of this great nation. We must take steps to ensure our domestic security and protect our homeland. Exactly. Could have been George Bush or any of them after 9/11.